Musk says, SAVE Act requiring ID. Okay, this is a good one for you, Jared. We're going to come to this to you to see if are these diamonds real or not. So Musk says, SAVE Act requires ID to vote, must be done or democracy is dead. Rob, do you have this clip?
I do. This is the tweet, and then I have the clip that the tweet's in reference
to.
So
Glenn Beck tweets, by passing this one act, the GOP will save the Republican and rescue the GOP. If they fail, we all fail. 80% of all Americans want this. You need ID for everything except voting. There is only one reason not to pass this, and we all know what it is. Okay, so that's what he's saying. Elon comes out and says, it must be done or democracy is dead. Rob, if you want to go to the clip of Elon, to this clip.
This is great.
And this is CNN, which is phenomenal. Go for it. And then, Jared, I'm going to come to you.
Take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote.
So something of a not.
Jared, thoughts?
By the way, have you guys voted recently? You go with a photo ID. You show your driver's license, and if you don't have a driver's license, you have a government-issued license. That's how you vote. So you do vote in Florida with a photo ID. And you have to do that in all the other states, as far as I know, that you have to show photo ID. So look, I am all for showing a photo ID to vote. That is not what the SAVE Act is doing. Elon is telling the truth, and he says this will save the republic. He should have said Republican. Okay, what the SAVE Act really is about getting less people to vote. That's what it is. First of all, it would create a dramatic problem for women who have their maiden name on their birth certificate and their married name on their driver's license. Okay, because it doesn't fix that issue. So that's one of the reasons why the SAVE Act doesn't work.
How long is it? Wait a minute. I got to stop you. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Maiden name to married name?
Yeah, so the thing
is
that if your photo
honestly, respectfully, you're going with that? How many decades is that a problem?
No, but if your photo ID doesn't match your birth certificate, you might not be able to get the voter ID card. Okay, so we went to Republicans to say, hey, just fix that issue. Didn't want to fix it. Okay, this is about people who are poor, who work several jobs, and are not going to have the time to go get this new voter ID. This is no different than getting people off of the mail-in voting rolls, which they did in Florida, to make them re-register again. This is about decreasing voter turnout, period. When he says there is only one reason not to pass this, and we all know what it is, yeah, I know what it is. This is about less voter turnout, getting those lower propensity voters not to vote. There are ways to do this. This is the way they want to do it is just about less voters. That's what it is.
By the way, you said earlier that every state requires an ID to vote. That's just not true.
I just said I don't. I said I know in Florida we do.
No, but that's the problem. You lived in Florida. I lived in L.A., California. Right now, I lived in Texas. We lived in Texas 5 years.
You have a voting card?
Well, no. Rob, pull it up real quick. I think it's, I don't know what it is, 10 or 15 states that you can go vote with no ID. And then there are states that you can vote with no photo ID. Zoom in a little bit on the colors so we can explain what the colors are. Yeah, no IDs required are the grays. No photo ID required to vote. And then the blue is photo ID required. Look where you live, Florida. Photo ID required.
I'm all good with photo ID being required.
Oh, you are with that. You're good with that.
Yeah, but photo ID, like your government issued ID.
To get to vote.
Yeah, not a new thing that I have to go do. Like the SAVE Act wants to create a new process. It doesn't say you can use your driver's license. You can use your government issued ID. That's not what the SAVE Act does. It now says that you need to go get your birth certificate to go get your new voter ID card. You got to go take your passport to go get your new voter ID card. It's not saying you now need your regular driver's license to go vote. You need your regular federal ID that you use to fly to go vote. That's not what the SAVE Act does. It wants to create a completely new ID that you're going to need to vote. And that's why it's voter suppression.
What is global entry? Global entry, if I'm traveling TSA,
I have
don't
that.
I have to get a
I did a background check.
ID, right?
Yeah.
You know what global entry is?
Yeah, of course. That's the fast lane.
Yeah, the fast lane.
That's not global entry is not mandatory, though.
No, it's not mandatory. No, what I'm saying is, I know it's not mandatory, but where I'm at, the least, they don't even want photo IDs. So I think what they're trying to do here, my opinion, you can push back, and you're in this world, so you can push back. I think they're going for this, but I think they're willing to settle at photo ID. So I think if they go in the room.
But then put that bill on the floor that you have to use your government-issued ID, your current government-issued ID, or your passport, right? Any federal government-issued ID, you can use that, right? You can use it. When you fly, when to drive, you can use it. They want to create a new voter ID. That's
But you have a vote on the floor.
I voted against it.
Why don't? Yeah, then caucus with people and go for the compromise.
They don't want to. They don't want to compromise because that compromise doesn't achieve the objective. The objective is to create a new process that a lot of people won't participate in and will.
Why not though? Why not, Jared?
Listen, there's a lot of people that don't have time to sit here and do a podcast. They're working 3-4 jobs, right? When they took people off those voting rolls for the mail-in,
those guys had time to go get an ID.
Hold on,
if you can go,
they have an ID. Let them use it. Let them use their driver's license.
Yeah, but what is the argument for a voter ID? What is the argument for it?
Their argument?
Their argument.
Their argument is saying you should have an ID to go vote, to prove it's you. Great. Let them use their federally issued ID.
Can illegals get a photo? Can you get if you're an illegal alien, can you get an ID in California, a driver's license?
Well, let me tell you how California works. If you bring your California ID to Texas or Florida, Tom, you'll remember this.
Yep.
When you bring it here, you need to show two form of identification and bills and whatever to get an ID. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what they didn't use, Vinny?
What?
The California ID.
Why?
Do you know this?
No, but why?
So if I came here, they looked at the Texas ID as valid, but they don't look at California ID as valid.
Weird.
That's exactly. Do you remember this, Tom?
That's
or
correct.
No?
And so Texas, you go to get Jared. Maybe you don't know this. Texas, I go to get my driver's license. I get there in 2013, and I go to get my driver's license in Texas. I show them my California license, and they're like, "No, I need a power bill to validate your address, or something, or a lease, or anything that you've got here to that. And utility would be great because it's with the city to validate your address. But you need do you have a birth certificate or a passport?" This is why. Because the California driver's license is on our excluded ID list to get a driver's license in Texas. I said, why is that? Because the California driver's license has been corrupted because they allow people who are not citizens to get it. So there's not a proof of citizenship on that because of recent things they've done. So it's off our list. Sorry to inconvenience you. You can go to the head of the line if you come back and bring your form with the passport. So I went home, I got my passport, and got back in line. That's how I got my Texas in. So this is what Texas is doing in terms of, because they knew what California had done to its own driver's license by compromising it, by allowing illegal aliens to actually get California driver's licenses through loopholes.
First of all, the entire country just changed to that new sort of federal ID for your driver's license, right? So the whole country moved over to that, the real ID. So the whole country moved over to that, number one. Number two is we let people fly with that California driver's license that you're talking about. So it's obviously good enough for TSA because we let people fly with it. Third, guys, there's no evidence, zero that has ever been presented that there are mass undocumented people voting and changing the elections. Trump litigated his election in 2020 in front of 70 different judges, in front of all these jurisdictions. They presented stuff. There was no evidence that this took place.
So let me ask you a question. Why for Biden's administration for 4 years was the border completely wide open?
Totally different issue, and it shouldn't have been.
Well, yeah, I understand, and I know that you agree with me on that. But
no voter ID and new voters in the right places.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Give me, I'm just saying in general, as the Democratic Party, because it's not like they cared about these illegals. They don't give two craps about it. If we're going to be honest, they don't give a damn about the kids. They don't give a damn about these people that are coming over. Almost 15 to 20 million people here. Give me the argument for why the Biden administration let them come in here. Is it for the census numbers that count towards redistricting for people and people sitting in Congress? Because their fight right now, the biggest fight that's happening in the country right now is the left seems like they care more about illegals than they care about Americans. Giving them housing, getting them in there, protesting in the streets. Nobody's protesting about anything else. All the problems that we have in this country, they are fighting for people that do not belong here. And there has to be an explanation. There has to be a simple, because it's not that they care. Democrats, nobody gives a damn about these people. Trump is fixing, he's trying to fix the problem that the Biden administration did. It's like somebody coming into your house, pooping on the floor, and then you're getting mad at me for picking up the poop. What are you doing? I'm cleaning up the mess that they made. So the argument comes to they can't vote. Go to California, you can vote. Go to the 16 states. You don't even need a photo ID. My thing is you have to have, I know you agree, identification. The SAVE Act says you have to be a citizen. And for all these married women and whatever,
which is already
get your
the law
lazy asses and go get a freaking ID.
By the way,
Anybody could do it.
It's already the law that you have to be a citizen to vote. Okay. First of all, Barack Obama deported more people than Donald Trump did in both his terms in his first term. 100%. Barack Obama did. Okay.
Yep.
Tom Homan got an award from Barack Obama.
Yeah. Got the medal.
Okay, got the medal. Barack Obama has still deported more people than Donald Trump is deporting now. So to blame the whole party on this issue is not true. Second of all, this immigration issue has been going on for a long time.
Yes.
This is a 20, 30-year deal. And yeah, election issue is linked up to that. Why? Because the reason why you don't want to give a path to citizenship is if you give them a path to citizenship, guess what they get? They get the ability to vote. And then, yes, Texas could go blue. So they're not going to let that happen. So, by the way, why are they against that? Because they know they can't vote now. They can't vote now. That's why they don't want to give them the path to citizenship. If you give them a path to citizenship, then they do get to vote. So this just proves that they can't vote now. That's why they're against doing it. So, guys, there's no evidence of this. Let people use their regular government-issued ID. We don't need to create an entirely separate new voter ID that a lot of people are just not going to be.
What's the likelihood this passes?
Well, I mean, it passed the House, so it's up to the Senate. So the
Senate is 2/3, or Senate has to be?
They need 60 votes because there's the automatic filibuster, and what they're trying to get John Thune to do now is to change the filibuster rules and do what's called a standing filibuster, which is to go back to the old days when you actually had to stand on the floor and filibuster. So Democrats would need someone on the floor constantly talking all the time to stop it. Now, if Thune does
that would be painful.
Yeah, if Thune, well, you'll like all those speeches. If Thune does that, then then obviously we're continuing to change the rules in the Senate. And I will say this: Democrats and Republicans together have changed the rules in the Senate. Remember, Harry Reid got rid of the filibuster for Supreme Court judges, and then Republicans got rid of it for regular district court judges. That has led to the judiciary now being a lot more partisan.
Yep.
If the Senate continues to get rid of the rules, they're just the House. They just become the House.
Yeah.
If it's majority rule in the Senate, it's just the House. And here's what happens. What happens is every 4 years or 6 years, we're going to pass statutes, then we're going to remove statutes. We're going to pass more statutes, then we're going to remove statutes. And in this country, the chaos will get even worse as we've gerrymandered all these districts. General elections don't matter anymore. Right? It's all about the primary, running to the left, running to the right, amping up the division. And so, I hope he doesn't change the filibuster rules, because then we just continue.
But Congressman, in the Constitution, Article 1, Section 4 says Congress can at any time make laws to regulate and alter election procedures, especially when it's getting out of hand like this. But still, going back to my initial question, what was the reason for opening the border, for Alejandro Mayorkas sitting in Congress saying the border is secure? Kamala Harris saying the border is secure. So we were invaded by our government.
She eventually found the border.
Yeah, well, she did. She's once, I guess. But I'm curious because I know you're opposed. You don't want. You have a family, Congressman. You have children. God forbid, something ever happened by somebody that does not belong in this country, from a purposeful president and an administration letting these people in. I'm just looking for, because I know a bunch of American people, especially ones that have lost loved ones, family members that have lost daughters that were sexually assaulted, the R word, all that stuff. What was the reason for opening the border? And even when Texas went to put barbed wire, they sued. They went and put up bulldozers and picked up the thing and let them come in. What is the rationale? Well, explain that to me. How did that happen? And how did nobody say anything on the left? They were just like, come on in. That's why people like me question, like, why would you let them in? I'm so curious.
There were people on the left that were talking about the Remain in Mexico policy. There were people on the left talking about, listen, there's a difference between economic asylum versus physical asylum. Look, my family came here escaping the Holocaust. My grandmother was part of the Kinder transport out of Germany. Her family was killed in Auschwitz. My grandfather escaped Poland from the pogroms. His entire family, everybody, aunts, cousins, uncles, everybody was killed. This country let us come in.
100%.
By the way, first they didn't. They turned the ship around.
Yeah.
But eventually they let us come in, escaping persecution.
Yes.
Okay. Look, Latin America ain't a
Of course. Yeah, it's not
great
a great place, obviously.
So there's a lot of people that want to come here for opportunity. Now, the question is did we provide a magnet? Because that's when we hear about immigration, you can hear about this magnet that you can turn on that attracts versus flipping the magnet around and repelling. Okay, we clearly turned the magnet on, and too many people came. Too many people came in. Hold on, we didn't bust them here. They came because
but because the president and them said, "Come in. We're not Trump. Come in here."
They came because they're escaping their conditions. Now, whether we should have let them seek asylum in the country versus remaining in Mexico while they seek asylum, that's the policy I agree with, which is let these people seek asylum, but we shouldn't have necessarily let them all in to seek asylum.
But Congressman, 20, let's say 15 million people, and I get it. Just so, but his family, him included, my mother, my grandmother, they all came here from the Middle East to escape that, and I get it. But they came through a process. And what I'm saying is, what about the millions? I think Thomas Homan said what?
Unfair to them. Unfair.
Unfair. But here's ready for this. 2 million gotaways, meaning we have no idea who they are. We don't know where they are. We just heard another story about a Chinese biolab that has freaking all these pathogens in it, and then 300,000 missing children. And we're sitting here talking about Epstein and all these kids and all that. It's unbelievable the amount of damage that they did. And you talk about these Democrats, Congressman, with all I didn't hear one Democrat stand up during the Biden administration and say, guys, shut the border. What are we doing? Alejandro Mayorkas, you're full of crap.
All right, let me say one more thing about this. So the president's immigration policy in August had a 59% approval rating. Today it has a 39%.
And why do you think that is? Because the media is saying that he's Hitler and he's a Nazi?
Hold up. First of all, nobody's Hitler other than a Hitler. That's always
the
rule. There's nobody. The rule you live by is Hitler is Hitler. Compare nobody to Hitler.
One of one.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the left doesn't see it like that.
But here's the thing. Okay. The American people voted to go after gang members and criminals. He told us that's what they were going to do.
Yes.
And they voted for that, no doubt.
Illegals.
Illegals.
Hold on. He said criminals, gang members, these people who escaped the insane
illegals are criminals. If you're illegal,
hold on. I'm not debating that.
Right.
That's not what he told the American people. He didn't tell the American people we're going.
Rob, can you pull up his Trump 47-20 promises? I don't know if he did or not. Maybe you're right. We'll read it right now.
What the American people are watching, what they're watching live on TV, and that's how Trump lives his world. That's not what's happening. Okay, that's not what's happening. The mission went way beyond what the American people were told and anticipated. We're going into factories, for Hyundai and getting rid of their workers. We're getting rid of people that are working in our fields.
There it is. So Trump's number one promise
seal the border.
Was seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. He didn't say criminals. He didn't say any of that stuff.
Hold on, but that's a different issue. Sealing the border and stopping coming in is different than what do you do with the people here.
But look at number two. Jared, carry out the largest deportation operation.
He's failing.
But that's his promise, though.
But he's failing on that.
You're saying that, but to me, let me ask you a question. Okay, so here's a question for you. What is harder to get? Is it harder to get a photo ID? Is it harder to get the Save Act voter ID, or is it harder to get a green card?
It's harder to get a green card.
Okay, so it's harder to get a green card.
Yeah, 100%.
So the people that you're saying have a hard time because they're so busy and they're not going to do anything illegal. If they have
that's different. I'm talking about citizens who are here.
But here, I totally get it. But somebody who's here that is a citizen or even's got a green card. People with a green card can vote. If you got a green card, I joined the military with just a green card, and I wasn't a U.S. citizen. Just so you know that I joined the Army with a green card. So even if somebody can get a green card, and green card's harder to get, why can't they get people to get the voter ID? Mm-hmm. What would be the difficulty of that? You're saying the people that have 3 jobs, I'm running 9 companies. I'm working.
But we don't need. But take Florida. We don't need new voter ID. We have.
But that's not Florida. That's not Florida. So to you've lived in a state that you don't have this issue, Congressman.
No, but
respectfully, you guys don't deal with that here.
I'm saying take what Florida's doing. People are allowed to use their driver's license. Okay, they're allowed to use their federally issued.
The difference is this. Here's the difference, and I'm loving this exchange because we're going through leaks that every one of us is trying to find, especially for myself. This is your world. I can't, if I'm running the country, tell California what to do with the photo ID law of that state.
Yep.
The only thing I can do is to say, oh, you don't want to require an ID to vote, photo ID? No problem. Guess what? I can't, as the president, tell you to get a photo ID, but guess what we're going to do for the country? Everybody needs a voter ID. You want to screw on with me and kind of do this stuff in a completely different way?
But where's the evidence that that's happening?
Gavin Newsom signed the Senate Bill 1174 that said no. They got people in trouble for showing their ID.
There's no evidence.
But there's the part.
let's just say tens of thousands. Okay, first of all, California's.
Then you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, of course I do.
If there's no evidence, you have nothing to worry about.
Of course I do, because now you're going to make working class people who vote Democrat go get a brand new separate ID. Yeah.
So what?
So that's going to decrease turnout.
If you're saying there's no proof that are people doing this, then there's nothing to worry about. Let's just kind of move forward and make it honest and get states that don't want to allow people to have IDs. This is a very, very clear issue for me. It's not a complicated issue for me. If you have the time to go cross the border legally or illegally, get your green card, get your ID, get a job, take your kids to school, get a TSA period, get all this stuff, you have the time to go get a voter ID.
That's not who the SAVE Act is going to target. The SAVE Act is going to eventually affect lower income working class people who are not going to go do this separate process to vote.
Why is it going to target that?
I mean, we could talk 12 hours about why people
but tell
in the
me
lower
in 60 seconds.
Because they're so busy trying to just survive in this country that every barrier you put in front of people. Why did the poll tax stop people from voting? Every barrier you put stops people from voting.
But by the way, what if he does this? What if he does this? Okay, great. Hey, if you're watching, here's an idea for you. To all the people you're so worried about, I have a very simple proposition to Republicans. Guess what? The U.S. government will pay for a one-day vacation for you to go get your voter ID because you are so busy. So let's do the math. Yeah. If you do the math, you got how many working people? Those that don't have a problem with it, let's target the people that are the low income. What percentage, Rob, can you pull up a percentage of what percentage of people would be considered low? What's the way we want to categorize?
Minimum
low
wage?
income.
Minimum
What
wage.
percentage would you put low income adults in America? Voters. Low income adults.
I mean, there's a lot of
American. What is the number?
10%, 10.6%.
So what is that? 35.9 million?
Below poverty.
Perfect. Below poverty. Take their average salary, say 32,000. Let's just make it 50,000. Take 50,000 divided by 200 days. 50,000 divided by 200 days is what? $250. $250 times 35.9 million is what, Rob? Can you do the math, please? $250 times, we're going to do some math with this congressman here. We're going to figure this out together, and we're not even in office.
It's like the movie Dave.
So $250 times $35.9 million makes it $8.9 billion. Guess what? We paid $8.9 billion to dumber things. Let's pay $8.9 billion for people to get one full day, paid work day, because we're so concerned because they're busy. Go get it done. If we pay them, would you be open to it?
By the way, if you give people a holiday to go get their voter ID and you give them a holiday to go vote, I'm all for it.
Perfect.
That's
And guess
beautiful.
what? Just
Now,
figured it out.
Now, by the way, hold on. My Republican colleagues have been against that for decades.
Wow.
Oh, no. We were just on another
Because
point
if
here.
you give people a holiday, it increases voter
Well,
turnout.
they don't want to work too hard because they don't want to become
okay.
gay.
Increases voter turnout.
Wait, Jared, I got to add a
Go.
clarifying point.
Clarifying point.
You
I'm now
correctly-
reading the small text below.
No,
we have a deal, but let me. Here's the small
print.
print.
There it is.
This is
We'll
the
look
point.
Tom, you're overselling.
I
He's
thought you were.
overselling it.
I thought you were against filibuster. Stop.
there.
So, 38% of Americans right now approve of the way the ICE and the policy is being executed. That is what
Shooting
you said.
Americans
hang
in
on,
the
hang on,
face is not
hang on.
unpopular.
Well,
Hang
that's
on.
a whole different debate.
67% of Americans this day, according to a Marist poll, Harris poll, and Rasmussen, so there's a poll in there for everybody,
Love polls.
say they agree with the president's policy.
Strongly.
So you can't.
That's even a worse indictment. Hold on, think about what you just
No,
said.
no,
Hold on.
67%
They voted for a
of-
policy that they're not seeing, and the execution of it. That's why the president said the other day he
Right,
thinks
but
his public.
but what you
his
said,
public relations
but what
is
you
bad.
said, hang on, Jared. What you said a minute ago, I just want to make sure it's clear because there's two different things here. There's the policy they agreed with, that they voted for, that they still support to this day. And this is of all voters, the 67%. On the Republican side, it's like 88%. So that's the blend. But 38%
That's why he should
say-
fire. By the way, that's why he should fire Noam. She's been a total disaster.
No, I wasn't opening the door for that.
Oh,
we
well,
can debate
let me-
all these
let me
things
open
and
it
other
for
things.
you.
Jared, we like you. This has been going well.
By the way, what happened to Trump? Hold on.
But you see
What
the
happened to
point?
Trump? Trump made tens of millions of dollars firing people weekly on television. People tuned in. It was much CTV.
Okay, see, this is
Eric
what
on-
happens when a
Eric on
politician
one
doesn't like
side,
numbers.
Hold on.
Here
Eric
come
on
the
one side,
meteors from all
Junior on
Mars.
the left. You're fired. People loved it. He was popular. And now he's like firing people's weakness. That's weakness.
Well,
Can I say?
You've already spoken, buddy.
Well,
Are you trying to beat me right now?
One small point.
Oh, my
Can you at
God.
least admit, Congressman, that the look of what's happening is it's two-tiered. Number one.
We just figured it out.
Well, number one, when you have the media who all despise him, from CNN to MSNBC, they're making the coverage, and the way that they're reporting it is absolutely abysmal. Number one. Number two, when you have the sitting governor, the sitting mayor, Ilhan Omar, saying, and by the way, I take complete offense. I'm not Jewish, Congressman. When people say Hitler and Hitler, that's one of the worst thing that you can do. They've been calling freaking Trump and all this Gestapo. I think it's absolutely disgusting, especially with people that have had family members lost under German rule. I think it's disgusting. When you have those people...
By the way, Joe Rogan called them the Gestapo.
Yeah, well, hold up. Wait, we talked about that. But here's the thing, Congressman. If you have the leadership of the state saying, Hitler, Gestapo, get in their face, do this, and then you have nurses going up to people with a gun on them, interfering with federal law enforcement. I know you know it's illegal. That is a problem, okay? Because at the end of the day, New York Times reported this, and their minds were boggled. They didn't know where this came from. Murder is down 20%. Overdoses of drugs, heroin, fentanyl, everything is down all-time low. They don't even know how to respond to it. Could that be because he's kicking all these people out? And I understand. With a mass immigration deportation, there's going to be people here. Okay, we got this person wrong. We got this. That's going to happen. But the media is making him look like he's a freaking maniac, which Obama's the number one guy. He's trying to catch Obama because he wants to be number one. And the fact that the governor, Tim Walz, he's still saying it. He's Hitler. He's Nazi. Don't listen to them and get in their faces.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'll give you the final thoughts and then we'll wrap up. Go ahead. You can respond to that.
What I was going to say is you guys have the guy who did this deportation in Tom Homan. You have the guy, right? And what we didn't see masked men in the streets.
But there was nobody recorded it.
I know, but
nobody was
unfair.
recording it.
The only thing I would say is, I understand that argument. The difference is, when I'm calling from the White House and the president is a Democrat and I'm asking Minneapolis to cooperate and you're a Democrat, they do.
Bingo.
When and Tom Homan's there, Tom Homan, he's my guy. My name is Barack Obama. Great, I'll take care of him and I'll give you what you want. Under Trump, when they call and these blue cities don't want to cooperate, whatever you want to call a sanctuary city, whatever reason, to make the president look bad, they're not working together as a team. So it makes it harder for ICE to do its job because there's a lack of cooperation. And I understand why they do that. It's politics. They need the exposure. They need the new, things to see. Right now, data came up. You know what the data came up yesterday? MAGA, people that voted for Trump. Do you know what percent of them Enton just did a new one, Rob. I don't know if you saw this from yesterday. I wasn't even going to show this, but they showed that MAGA right now, people that voted for Trump. Is that it, Rob?
Yes, sir.
It just went even higher. This is yesterday. Play the clip, Rob.
The movement again. That's what we're talking about. Make America Great Again movement. And it is as powerful as it has ever been. Because I want you to take a look here.
Watch
GOP
this.
who view MAGA favorably. 2 years ago, when Donald Trump was running for term number 2, it was 74%. Today, look at this. It's 78% of Republicans
People who
view
voted for him
the Make
support what
America
he's
Great
doing.
Again movement favorably. So we're talking about something that, in my opinion, will very much be able to outlast Donald Trump. Trump is in term number 2. He can't run for a term number 3. But the bottom line is this. What he brought into the GOP looks like it's going to last long.
1040.
It's 11:40. By the way, Jared, we've enjoyed it. It was actually a lot of fun.
All right.
And we're going to invite you more. Are you around here?
I live in
or-
Parkland.
Okay,
Hang
fantastic.
out. What
This
are we
was
doing?
great. This was great. No, we like this. We like the banter. We like the exchange. As long as you're respectful and you're respectful, we enjoyed having you on. Rob, can you do me a favor? Is Mateo here? Can we bring Mateo? Where's Mateo at? Can you check with Mateo if the truck is ready or no? Is he here? Mateo, can you bring where are you at? Come on down. Come on down. Okay.
Come on down
So,
to Chinatown.
Not only is MAGA went from 74 to 78%, but somebody's approval rating went from 45 to 46%. If you're watching this and you want to ensure yourself, do yourself a favor and go buy the shirt allegedly. Because when you're going through moments like this, never has there been a more important time to walk around making sure everybody knows you lean on the word allegedly because that's the biggest insurance policy you can have nowadays, as long as you use the word allegedly. So if you want to protect yourself, go to vtmerch.com, get yourself an allegedly shirt or a hat, walk around at work with your family, with your friends, and just say, allegedly, this is what I heard. You will be protected, just like many others do, wearing the allegedly gear. And it is one of the greatest conversation starters. No matter where you're at, people look at you, they smile, and it goes into
I'm
a
curious,
conversation.
in a court of law, in a court of law, Jared, you would know this. If you're wearing that shirt and you're talking just out of your butt and you're saying crazy stuff, in court, you just be like,
Allegedly,
hey,
I heard.
I didn't say it out loud,
Allegedly.
but the shirt is saying it.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.